Michael and I have been sitting here in the weather office watching the storms as they've been approaching the area. We do have a tornado warning, and we do want to get you caught up on it. So Michael and I are going to get you caught up on that. First tornado warning now has been issued for our area. This is for Grayson County here. So Grayson County, you're the only county that's under the tornado warning right now. And Michael, we've been watching these through the night here. It's been kind of interesting. It's been very difficult to get that rotation down to the ground. I think it's a lot to do with some of the cooler air that we're looking at outside.
Yeah, temperatures right now at the surface somewhere in the mid-50s, and so at this point right now the warmest air is just off towards the northeast of these storms. So that's something we're going to have to keep a close eye on.
I agree with that. Litchfield, Munfordville, Hodgenville, areas like Greensburg, Campbellsville, and Columbia, you're a touch warmer. Those are locations we're going to have to look at. Until 9:45, this tornado warning is in effect. And what we're going to do here, because the actual core of the storm has not quite made it into our viewing area, we're going to probably give you just a quick cut here, update you on the information as the storm starts to approach. Then we'll probably go a little bit more here. But this is the core of that storm here right now near Beaver Dam. So this is Grayson County. That warning here, that storm here is still well to the west of Grayson County by about 15 miles again. So what we're going to do here, we're going to watch this storm here. I would say in terms of tornado potential here, these things can produce some quick spin-ups. The problem here is we have cool air at the ground, and what that cool air basically does is not allow all that rotation to go down to the ground. So yes, we could see a quick spin up here, and we will watch this closely, but we have about another 5 or 6 minutes until it gets into Grayson County. So what we will do again, we'll go back here to the news here for another 5 minutes or so, and then as it gets into Grayson County, we'll probably stay a little longer with it. Again, 9:45 Central Time or 10:45 Eastern Time, Grayson County, you are under a tornado warning. That rotation areas like Caneyville, probably in the next, let's say 20 minutes or so, we'll be watching you very, very closely. So we're going to go back to news. As this continues to warrant, we'll have an update for you momentarily.
All right, thanks so much, Mark. I know you and Michael keep track and keep us updated on everything. Coming up, attorneys fear that TV is changing the way real-life jurors...
And the storm's now getting a little bit closer to Grayson County, so it's time to spend a little more time on this storm and start to get you some of the communities that could potentially be affected by this. I want to take you to Storm View 3D here, and what I've done here is put on the radar for you what we call velocities here. Now, velocities help us to indicate where we indeed have the rotation here. When you look at this, we've got rotation right now that is near the Beaver Dam area, where you see those reds and the greens come together. That's the area of rotation that we're going to have to watch here. So if you live basically along 9001 heading towards Caneyville, that's an area that we have to watch here. So that's the area that we're going to have to watch, possibly for that rotation to be moving in. Right here again, where you see the greens and reds come together, moving off to the north and east. So this is going to slide to the north of Caneyville. Now, looking at this rotation, when we do have something that produces a tornado, traditionally, if we were to look at something here, we would see really, really bright reds, and we would see really, really bright greens. What I can tell you is we don't see really, really bright either of those. We see kind of what we call these mid-level rotation here, and what we see is kind of, I would call them duller colors. Now, we can actually, from Storm View 3D, and I'm going to take a walk over here to the office here, but we can actually see how much rotation we're seeing specifically within this storm. So looking at some of those numbers here, we've got about, across this rotation area, and it is a little bit diffuse, we've got about 50 miles an hour of rotation here. Now, again, you know, there's times where we're looking at winds that can get up to maybe 80, 90 mile an hour rotation. And another thing that we specifically look for is what we refer to as gate-to-gate shear, and what that would be is the reds, the really brights, and the really bright greens being next to each other, and they're not. They're spread apart here a little bit. So to me, this does not scream that it's necessarily producing a tornado at this point right now. Looks to me like broad level rotation here. And if you could, Michael, let's go over to the reflectivity here and take a look at that as well. Go to the BR there if we could on the Storm View 3D. Here we go, and that's the area that we're watching on the storm. What's kind of basically a tail on the end of the storm. As Michael said, some of the air is a little bit warmer to the south, and that's the area and the location that we're going to have to watch. Again, if it is to produce a tornado. I'm not completely sold on this. Michael, you and I have kind of been watching during the evening hours. 72 degrees with a dew point of 60 is not necessarily the thing that we always see when something produces a tornado.
Yeah, kind of right on the boundary of what we would really be concerned about. The fact that we had storms that were not this particular storm that looked a lot more likely to produce a tornado. Yeah. This one's kind of on the weakish side, but definitely something we're going to have to keep a close eye on. At this point, it looks like it at any point could fall apart. but definitely still enough of a signature there to keep a close eye on it.
And you have some storm tracks here. Again, the tornado warning here is for Grayson County until 10:45. Let's go through some of those locations and time frames here. Now remember, they're going to be on Eastern times here. So the storm potentially, again, if it holds together, remember this thing's moving to the northeast at 45. So what that means, it tracks it well out of that tornado area, the tornado warned area. So we'll watch the beginning ones here. Yemen around 10:34. Litchfield, again, this would be after this initial tornado warning because it only goes till 10:45. But if it holds together, it could potentially affect the northern side of Litchfield. That would occur at 10:50. Madrid around 10:53. Summit around 11:07. And then you can see some of the cities down the line. Again, keep in mind that is indeed if this holds together and pushes that far off to the east. Watching the storms kind of pulsing up and down. It's kind of interesting here when you have what we would again refer to as broad rotation, nothing that would be kind of off the spectrum here. We have to just watch certain areas to see if they pulse up. Weather Service actually even said themselves when they look at this storm, I don't think they're in particular calling this a storm with really strong rotation. Their actual wording was that the rotation was not incredibly impressive, but it tightened up just a little bit as the cells were moving into an area that might have a little bit more potential for rotation. So again, I think that's why they issued that tornado warning here. But looking at Storm View 3D again, we'll look at what we call normalized rotation here. We would look for really bright greens on this one. Think about it like a stoplight. Green means go. We don't see a lot of the greens here. We see what I would refer to again as broad rotation, nothing that's incredibly impressive right now on a storm that's sliding off to the east. We'll have a tornado warning on it until 10:45, but the rotation here still doesn't look superb here. So I just want to let news know here, in about 30 seconds we're probably going to go back to news. Don't worry, we're not going to forget about you, Grayson County. We'll continue to update you. But again, we really don't want to monopolize your coverage here if indeed this doesn't look like a tornado is necessarily going to spin up here. So let's again keep that tornado warning until 10:45 for Litchfield County here. Caneyville will watch it really closely. Right now the rotation does not look that impressive. I think in some senses this was a preemptive strike. The Weather Service was just kind of watching the storm, and if it indeed produced a tornado, they wanted to be ahead of the game here. So we'll watch things again. Grayson County 10:45, you are under a tornado warning. As this thing continues to either weaken or strengthen, we'll continue to update you. So right now we're going to go back to news for some more coverage.
All right.
There is some good news here. Last time we talked a couple minutes ago, we talked that rotation did not look that good. Here's that cell as it heads into Grayson County right now, and you can see it's kind of splitting here. Not even a lot of lightning strikes. Michael, let's go over and look at some of that rotation on this storm, and we don't see much rotation here. So what the Weather Service did is they canceled that tornado warning. To be honest, it may have been issued a little quickly, but nonetheless, we will watch the storms as they continue to move across the area. And Michael will have a full update with your 7-day forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Well, we do have a little bit of a busy night here. Just got a new tornado warning for Grayson County, and you're going to give us a 7-day here in a second, so you'll get a little bit of everything here. What we're going to first take a look at, Michael, is that storm. The one now, this is a secondary storm that's developed. You can see this one is now south of Caneyville. The other storm off to the north has died off. Over Morgantown is where the area of rotation is right now. That area looks like a good bulk of this is going to stay south of Grayson County, so I think it's going to probably stay away from Caneyville, but the area of rotation near Morgantown won't be into Grayson County here, Michael, for probably another 15 minutes. As the storm gets closer, we're going to update you.
All right, taking a look right now what's going on, the bigger picture here. The main weather player for us that's kind of fired up all these showers, thunderstorms, and the strong storms. This cold front at this point being dragged through the area by an area of low pressure that will be lifting just south of the Great Lakes. That's going to move into the area and then through the area tomorrow morning. Still going to be dealing with a few scattered showers around drive time first thing tomorrow. Then it's going to push through. Good news, we see some drier air in here for tomorrow afternoon, and then that pesky area of low pressure brings some more clouds back in heading for Tuesday, but we've got a nice stretch of weather coming for you the second half of this work week. For tonight, though, lows of the low to mid 50s or mid to upper 50s. Rain chances 100% for everybody. Still going to be watching those thunderstorms. South winds 5 to 10. As we head through the day tomorrow, we're going to be talking about highs in the low 70s. 50% chance for showers mainly into the afternoon. And there's that all-important 7-day. Notice that we've just got a few shower chances heading into Tuesday evening. Then we drying out for the end of the work week. And then it feels like fall by the time we head to Saturday and Sunday. Now we're going to toss it back to, we're going to head it back to Bennett.
All right, thanks.
You know, it's been interesting, Michael. Looking at the storms, I would say some of them had some decent rotation, but it really doesn't look like anything's jumping off the screen as far as tornado warn. I wouldn't say huge rotation this evening at all, but
yeah, no classic looking storms here. It's not something you'd look at and say automatically that's a tornado there, but something that you do have at least a few of the makings there, and it's better to be safe than sorry at this point.
I agree. And let me show you where we have our tornado warning here. This is for Grayson County. This goes straight up until the top of the hour, so until 11 p.m. or Central Time, that would be 10 p.m. The storm now, the area of rotation is coming into Grayson County here. You can see that when we look at Storm View 3D, it gives you a couple of different symbols here that can help us to identify rotation here. You can get a triangle, which traditionally will indicate more of a specific tornado warn storm, and then you can get this little green circle here. This means mid-level rotation, and that area now is just about to cross the line here. This is going to go about 6 miles to the south of Caneyville. And Michael, if you could, let's go over to that normalized rotation here and look into that storm here. We again don't see any of those really bright greens in there. Michael, if you could, let's now take me over to the storm relative velocities here. And what we're going to look for is where those reds and those greens are near each other. And yeah, there's a little bit of rotation here, but again, I wouldn't say that rotation is strong by any means here. And I almost think you could probably justify keeping an eye on these storms without necessarily tornado warning them. Now, what I want to tell you is we're going to have to watch counties like Hart County, again, obviously Grayson County, for Taylor, for Greene, and for Adair County. It's just a little bit warmer in the southern part of our area, and what we'll do is we go through the evening, watch those areas as the storms continue to progress. So keep it right here on WDRB for continuing weather updates through the evening.
A traffic night.